Hey y'all, it's Mr. Kyle Myers Mathematics, and let's just jump into it. What I was thinking of doing today is showing you what it looks like to do a mastery challenge. So there's a course challenge on Khan Academy, and it's always at the bottom. So I actually have one that's already in progress, but I didn't want something that was going to be 30 questions long. I wanted something that's a little shorter. You can, of course, do that as well, and that'll level up your stuff. So I've done a little bit of that. I haven't done too much on here because, I don't need to. I'm using this from more of a tutor teacher perspective. But if you want to level up pretty quickly, instead of going topic by topic or unit by unit, you can click on the mastery challenge. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull it up over here. And then at the bottom right, you can hit let's go. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and minimize this back to where it was and copy them over to the other board. You can use the draw tool on here, but I've noticed that the draw tool doesn't work super well. Let me show you. So doesn't work super. Yeah, that's not too bad. If you try to draw small things, it doesn't like to draw small things. So okay, so I guess it's working. It's working better today than it normally would because, of course, right? That's how that's how that goes. It always works fine when you're trying to make it not work. But I've found that this built-in board doesn't work as well as other ones usually. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just copy these problems over, or I think I'll just probably minimize and make that a little smaller, and we'll use the board that's over here. So I'm going to bring this like this, and I can actually do that and pull this over here. Now, you're not going to be able to see this until I pull this down, so I'm actually going to pull this down, and now you should be able to see that okay. So I'm going to minimize that right there. Okay, so that, you should be able to see this now over here up to the bottom right underneath where my icon is, and then over here is where I'll have the workspace. So this will be my work. Oh, I almost misspelled workspace. LOL. Workspace. Okay, so we need to find an equation of the line through those 2 points. I'm actually going to just copy those points down. So -8, -2, and -4, 6. And so technically, this could be the second point, this could be the first point. You can number them whatever numbers you want, but just for simplicity here, I would recommend always just numbering the first one you read, the first point, and the second one, the second point. Just keep it really simple. So this is point 1. That would make this x1 and y1, x2 and y2. So every point is x and y. X goes left and right, Y goes up and down. And if you go left, right, up, and or down, you can get to any place on a grid, on a standard grid. So that's why we have these, left, right, up, down. And if we want slope, the slope is the amount of rise or fall over a certain amount of distance. So slope is the amount of rise or fall over a certain amount of distance or a certain amount of run. So rise over run. And the amount of rise that you do is the difference in the second point versus the first one. So the second point is a +6. So that's the second point's y value, the second point's location in the air, so to speak, minus the first point's location, which is actually underground in a way, right? -2 over the amount of distance that you go horizontally, which would be the difference in x's. And here, you actually would want to subtract them in the same order. This is one thing that you want to be careful of. So you can, what I just did was I did y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I did the 2 and then the 1. It's okay to do the 1 and then the 2. I've seen some people do that, some teachers, some students. It's okay to do that as long as they're both in the same order. So if on the top side you do y1 minus y2, then on the bottom you have to do it the same way. Otherwise, you're going to get the opposite of the slope that you're supposed to get. So whichever way you order them, just order the top and the bottom the same. Either do 2, 1, 2, 1, or do 1, 2, 1, 2. So anyways, let's clean this up. So that's going to be just 6 plus 2 on the top there. And then this is actually going to be negative 4 plus 8. Okay. So then that's going to be 6 plus 2 is 8. Negative 4 plus 8 would be the same thing as 8 minus 4, which is 4. And then 8 over 4, or 8 divided by 4, is 2. Okay, so now we know the slope is 2. We're actually still not done because they want the equation of the line. In order to build an equation of a line, we need either a slope and a y-intercept, or we need to know a slope and a point, or we need to know an a and a b, meaning these arbitrary numbers in the standard form of a line, which you'll almost never be given. So the most common thing is to know a point and a slope. If we know a point and a slope, then we can put it in point slope form. Point, we know a point and a slope, then we can put it in point slope. A lot of the names for math formulas are actually just what they give you or what they provide. So point slope is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. The x1 and the y1 are the point. And it actually doesn't matter which point we pick. We could pick the x2 and the y2 point, the second point. We could pick that one if we wanted to. It would give you the same answer. But since we already have the first point labeled as x1 and y1, so we already have this and this coming from over here. So we have it coming from over here for the point. Since we already have that provided, might as well go ahead and use it. And then we already know the slope as well. So we know the slope ended up being 2, right? So the slope ended up being 2. Okay, so we can just kind of go ahead and fill everything in now. Y minus, and then y1 is negative 2. And then that equals 2, the slope. We solved that earlier. X minus, and then x1 is negative 8. Okay, so we're basically done. They might not like that this is not super cleaned up, but you don't have to distribute the 2. So in order to completely clean this up, all we need to do is just get rid of double negatives. So y minus negative 2, y plus 2 instead. And then the 2, we don't need to distribute, but we do need to clean up the double negative. 2 negatives right next to each other means a positive. And then that is our answer. So let's go ahead and stop there for today. And but that's basically how you do this. So hopefully that's been helpful. Go check out the 5 math mistakes everyone makes and how to avoid them. And I'll catch you in the next video. Blessings, y'all.